Hey, happy, beautiful, amazing day. Dr. Bob Rakowski here. May 3 of 2020 with our SARS-CoV-2 facts and science update. Cover slide, we have a new killer. I personally don't like to talk about killers or make fun of death in any way, but this is a Grim Reaper who is probably understated on this cover. This Grim Reaper is much more diabolical than the virus, but I don't like to share scary things. So this is the data from businessinsider.com. A mind-boggling 30 million people have filed for unemployment in the last 6 weeks. And what does it say? There are likely more without jobs. So another economic analysis. Why are we going to economics? Because people that look at numbers don't seem to be pushing another agenda. People looking at deaths, wanting to recategorize. We'll share that data coming in a few moments. But here is the data. According to data from the National Bureau of Economic Research and The Lancet, certainly one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world, every 1% hike in unemployment will likely produce a 3.3% increase in drug overdose deaths and a nearly 1% increase in suicides. Now, do we have any data backing that up? This doctor and another doctor in California had a press conference, and it was so powerful that it was seen over 5 million times. And then YouTube said, we're pulling this. This doesn't meet our value system. And all they did was share facts. They said, look, here's what the real death rate is based on testing from Stanford, based on testing from University of Southern California. Our vulnerable demographic, our health compromised senior citizens, not the young. But what are our young vulnerable to? Well, they are now suffering from substance abuse, spouse abuse, child abuse. And those are the victims that they're seeing in private practice and in the emergency room. Hopefully somebody downloaded that, but the data is pretty clear. People are unemployed. Now take unemployment and throw on top of it, quarantine. Now you've got a very high stress circumstance for many. So what do the economists say? We have tracked the death rate since 1950. So this graph is fairly easy to find. Tracked the death rate since 1950. They had it, and it's a very smooth curve on the way down. This was where we were at the end of 2019, 7.579 per 1,000. We can see that there's a projected uptrend in that for the next 80 years. Pretty fascinating. I don't know how they predict it. I'm sure they'll modify it over time, but they can predict it very, very accurately. So what's our world population? Snapshot from Worldometer this morning. This is the exact number. You can see I just put it in right over there. How many days have gone by this year? 123. What's the fraction of the year? So if the death rate was 0.00759, this is how many deaths we'd have, 19,849,725. At 0.00760, just a very slight increase in death rate. Here's our numbers. What is the death rate? It's exactly in there. Our death rate globally is exactly what was projected. Now, here's what gets to be interesting. This website, usalivestats.com, keeps track of similar data to the Worldometers. Now, I'm going to assume that Worldometers, which keeps clicking all the time, gets constant input from LiveStats, but this has now not been displaying anything for days. I find that very fascinating because the data is here. Somehow, some way, conspiracy theorists might say, well, they don't want people to see the real data. But here's the interesting thing. If Worldometers is live and clicking up-to-date real-time, why is LiveStats not? So we go to a different plan. So cdc.gov.flu weekly, we look at all deaths and then we add them up through 17 weeks of the year. 17 weeks times 7 days, that's 119 days in. US population, look at the deaths projected to date. What does the CDC say are the actual deaths? Here they are. They're basically identical. You couldn't get any more accurate than that. So here's the point. we're not aware of a single additional death on the globe. Not one. Now they might be coming. It might be the suicides. It might be the homicides. And we certainly know a lot of people are suffering, but there are no more deaths. So this was a picture taken in Los Angeles where they're now having demonstrations all over California saying enough is enough. And they're planning to reopen, but of course the officials are saying, okay, this is ridiculous, but I think they're giving into pressure. You can YouTube this. There's your link if you want to screenshot it. This is a sheriff in California. And he says, you know, I put my hand on the Bible and I swore that I would defend the Constitution. And the Constitution says we have freedom of assembly. And I will not enforce an unconstitutional law. He says, and by the way, I hope it doesn't come to this, but the Second Amendment says that we can keep and bear arms. Well, if it comes to that, I'm very thankful that we have that right, because, you know, it seems that some people are really pushing an agenda that is not in the best interest of freedom, of health, of economics. It's a very interesting time. So we'll finish with a positive quote. Don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. And I watched The Shawshank Redemption. I've watched some pretty good movies, you know, either Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying. But this guy said, you know what? Fear can hold you prisoner. Hope can set you free. Think about that for a minute. How many people are afraid and locked in their home? And how many people are stepping up and saying, okay, enough is enough? I want you to be smart. If you're 80 and sick, probably stay home. If you're 35 and healthy, what risk are you to anybody or yourself? Minimal to zero. In fact, probably statistically zero. So enjoy this beautiful day. Add a smile to someone, add some value, share this if this makes sense. I also have a YouTube channel. Sometimes people have a hard time seeing it on Facebook. I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful.